All right, I want to be completely honest with you, and I think that you'll appreciate this because even out of what I'm about to share with you, there is a tremendous amount of hope. On the path, on the journey, fulfilling the will of God, there can be times of opposition. Just because you're being opposed doesn't mean that you're not in the will of God. I want you to hear that because sometimes people think that if something doesn't go easy or well, that they're not in God's will. Well, that might be the way we like it, but that's not what we see in the Bible. Joseph was opposed by his brothers. Esther was opposed by Haman. Nehemiah was opposed by Sanballat. Paul was opposed by Elymas. And Jesus was opposed by the Pharisees. And so there is no Holy Ghost immunity to opposition. If Jesus himself was opposed, then you might get opposed yourself. I think it's interesting that while Israel was 40 years in the wilderness, when they went into the promised land, they still had to deal with an enemy. They still had to deal with the Moabites, the Hittites, the Canaanites, the Amalekites, the Websites, the mosquito bites. All the ites were still there to oppose them, but God had equipped them with the victory to overcome them. And so, I don't want you to go build a bomb shelter and say, a proverbial bomb shelter. Well, I'm never going to do anything because I don't want to deal with opposition. I want you to hear this. Whenever opposition comes against God's people, it works for God's people. It doesn't bury them. So Joseph was opposed by his brothers, but he still became the prince of Egypt. Esther was opposed by Haman, but Haman was hung and Israel was freed. Nehemiah was opposed by Sanballat, but he had a record-breaking construction project completed. Paul was opposed by Elymas, and Elymas became blind, and a governor got saved. Jesus was opposed by the Pharisees, but Jesus was buried and rose again and became the source of salvation for all who would believe and receive him into their lives. I want you to stop looking at the opposition as a dead end, and I want you to see the opposition as a door to something that God has for you that's greater on the other side.